We move on to the night session at the 2019 USA Ultimate US Open Club National Championships. The mixed division greets us with a pair of semifinals, the first of which, minutes away, San Francisco Mischief, the 7 seed, and the 2nd seed, Seattle Mixtape. These are 2 former national champions. And early this morning, Mischief, with the biggest upset of the weekend perhaps in the mixed division, dethroning the top-seeded AMP from Philadelphia 15-10. Mixtape taking down their Seattle rivals BFG by the same score. And hi again, everybody. Evan Lepler with Megan Tormey, Ian Toner down in the field in just a moment. The mixed division feels as wide open, perhaps, as it's ever been, and these are 2 teams trying to jump through. Both have national championship experience. For Mischief, it's been more than a decade.
Right, and so much has changed for Mischief in terms of personnel and the way they function as a team. We're seeing them start to click, start to gel on a new level this weekend.
Well, you expect Bay Area mixed teams to have a ton of talent, and they certainly do. They've got new leadership. Andrew Berry, the coach, a former player. Schumacher, Myers, Kirkland, the captains, after this team was led by its founder, Kevin Dollar-Smith, for so many years. That 06 national championship far in the rearview mirror. They do add Lexi Zalk, former Slow White national champion, and she adds so much to what they want to do.
Listen, she does what she wants on the field, and the opposing team is powerless to stop her. She makes really impactful cuts in the front of the stack and is able to distribute the disc down the field. She's just a quick, smart player. They're really lucky to have her this season, and they're going to be lucky to have her tonight.
And one of the talented females that they rely on, often choosing to play with 4 females and 3 males on the field. Bit of a turning point for Seattle Mixtape. Some new blood they've added into the team, lost some of the powerful players that they've relied on in the past, but this coachless squad still has Ari Lozano and Khalif El Salam, who's a captain, may have even more responsibility coming into his athletic prime.
He has been a phenomenal player for Mixtape for so long, but given the people who they have lost last year, more responsibility is shouldered him by this year, and he's doing an amazing job. He's making the plays necessary. He's stepping up, being even more impactful on the field as a player and as a captain.
He's got lots of responsibility this weekend. He's also coaching YCC, the Seattle Bankroll team. He was at a far field just a few minutes ago, coaching in the youth club division. Now he's ready to play for a spot in the mixed final tomorrow here at the US Open in Minnesota. It's Mischief and Mixtape coming up from the National Sports Center after this. The USA Ultimate US Open Club Championships are presented by Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com. By the Ultimate History Book, illuminating the legendary stories, moments, and photos from the sport of Ultimate over the past 50 years. Learn more at ultimatehistorybook.com. And by Discraft, home of the Ultra Star, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Now featuring an updated website to make ordering custom discs easier than ever. Visit discraft.com for all your custom disc needs. Getting you set for the first mixed semifinal. We'll see Snake Country and Dragon Thrust later tonight, but right now, Mixtape and Mischief. Both these teams with a bit of a different flavor from a year ago. Mixtape in particular, some of the studs have moved on, but they've got replacements. For more on that, we send it down to Ian Toner on the warm sidelines. Ian?
Thanks, Evan. For so long, the Seattle Mixtape backfield has been synonymous with Mark Burton. The cutting core has been synonymous with Brad Hauser. But those 2 pieces are no longer on the Mixtape roster. They've brought in rivals from across the city, Adam Simon from BFG and Kieran Kelly from BFG, to fill those voids in the cutting and handler space. We'll be interested to see how impactful they'll be and how their chemistry is with their teammates early on in the season.
Those were 2 important players for the BFG World Champion squad from Cincinnati 2018. Also had Bryson Fox from that BFG squad as well. Look at the lineup for Seattle Mixtape with Fong. Catherine Songer is a newcomer, as is Fox, Lexi Garrity, Z Chen, Dom Cavallero, and Emily Smith-Wilson. All veterans on the Mixtape squad. And for San Francisco Mischief, coming off the win over AMP this morning, Zalk, one of their leading scorers on the tournament. Bladen Way, Chan, Feng, Kirkland, and Myers. For the head coach, Andrew Berry, who's an alum of Paideia High School in the year 2000. Adam Simon, Paideia alum 2001. Chicken, as he's affectionately referred to in the Ultimate community, and the coach of Mischief, Andrew Berry, were high school teammates about 20 years ago. And here they are competing against each other on the national stage at the US Open tournament that was a dozen years from existing when Berry graduated from Paideia. Mischief in the red starting on offense. These two teams, Megan, it's worth mentioning, did meet yesterday. Mischief falling to Mixtape on Universe 13-12 on a game of runs. Deep shot for Mischief's Audrey Way, and she's wide open. 1-0 San Francisco. Effective offense to start for San Francisco Mischief. Cody Kirkland in his third year on the team with the dish to Way. Mischief, a national semifinalist 3 years ago. Andrew Berry, who you see right there, was a player on that 16 Mischief team, and he said, except for like 4 players, they've completely turned over the roster. And that's indicative of a couple things. One is turnover in the mixed division, pretty frequent. It's rare to see someone stay on the same mixed team for half a decade or longer. You see it, but not the most common thing. The other dynamic is the ability to replenish the talent and to maintain the brand and add in pieces like Lexi Zalk and Evan Bryden and Sean Childers and Ben Feng and Mia Bladen, the U24 gold medalist. It's interesting how they've built this team.
I think that above all else is indicative of how much talent is in the Bay Area, is in the Seattle area. You know, having played on Nemesis for over a decade, when we had huge roster turnover, it meant we were having an off year.
Simon's deep shot denied at the last minute by Jordan Jeffrey. A 6'4" downfield defiant defender. Jeffrey, former San Francisco Revolver standout, picks up the disc and launches long, and easily intercepted by Bryson Fox. Was wondering, looking at the Mixtape roster coming into this weekend, would Adam Simon basically take over the Mark Burton role? And this point certainly looks like it.
We have a foul ball.
Intended for Emily Smith-Wilson. Wong, Carey, Nelson, and Kenzorski, the observers.
Observer ruling, it was a foul.
Foul upheld.
She'll walk it to the line. You can stall it when she sets her pivot. Yeah. Okay? Tap it in for her. 20.
Live.
Smith-Wilson through the tight space again. And Adam Simon calls the foul on Emily Prater. Take a look.
we can send it back. We can go with the turnover, or we can go with the foul, or go to the observer. Okay, so sending it back.
Back to Smith-Wilson. The stall count pretty high here. And the spacing for Mixtape leaves something to be desired.
Spacing is what led to that play in the first place, or lack thereof.
Smith-Wilson bluffs a Scuba and turns it over on the swing try. Third turn of the point. Leads to the deep shot intended for Crawford. Shy of the end zone, but he's got it. Reset to Jeffrey. Mischief trying to claim a 2-0 lead, just like we've had in each of our first two semifinals today in the women's and men's divisions. In one of the games, the 4-0 lead did not eventually result in a Seattle Riot win. Revolution coming back from the 4-0 deficit. Pony jumped out 2-0. It was back on serve at the half, but New York did surpass DC 14-10 with a strong second half. Adam Simon played on so many teams. I'd be curious to see his collection of jerseys that he's had through the years. Johnny Bravo when he was in college at Colorado. Of course, he's a Idea kid, so he grew up with the Chain Lightning program in Atlanta. Played for Revolver and Ironside and Sockeye, and then in the mixed division with BFG, and now with Mixtape. And I'm sure I'm forgetting like 9 other teams he's played on. Glad he's still playing, though.
I'm sure Mixtape is as well.
Downfield, Lexi Garrity. Reset for Catherine Songer, and that throw, oh, Simon unable to keep it alive. 5th turnover of the point. Mischief with its 3rd chance to break. And as we mentioned, it is hot down there, so a timeout called. No substitutions allowed, though, unless there's an injury, so the players will have to keep on grinding.
Mischief takes a timeout. That's their first timeout of the first half.
This was close, but it clearly did hit the turf. On the Songer swing. Your takeaways from these first couple of points. Turnover, free hold. Mischief scored quickly on the Kirkland deep shot. And here, Seattle struggling to reply in kind.
Sure, Seattle's offense is struggling from finding spacing, as we mentioned earlier, especially with that red zone error. They don't look like they're getting the looks that they want down the field, which is causing the handlers to do a lot of churning. But even their cuts could stand to either come a little bit sooner or come from slightly farther away to spread the field just a little bit more. Mischief has not looked prepared to have the Frisbee either. They don't have their players down in position fast enough to run the system that we've seen earlier in this tournament, that they do have the ability to run. They're just not quite able to do it consistently yet.
Disc in the hands of Robin Myers. Looking for a reset, connects with Crawford. Crawford gives it back to Mixtape. And once again, the 36-year-old Adam Simon, known as the Chicken on the back of his jersey. He's been the Chicken since he started playing. Chicken to Bo was a famous combination when they were in college together for Colorado Mama Bird. Like, I didn't know his name was Adam Simon in the mid-2000s. He was just chicken. And there's a great defensive play. Matthew Crawford beating his counterpart, Kieran Kelly, to the disc. You can just tell everybody's tired as the mistakes compound upon another.
And the disc goes back to Mixtape.
And another timeout taken, this time by Seattle. It's not fair to compare the two different divisions, and lots of factors go into these types of things, but there were 11 total turnovers in the Pony truck stop game. There have been 8 turnovers on this 1 point. Mixtape's got it after a 2-0 run through pool play, including the 13-12 win over Mischief. There was a change in format this year at the US Open, Megan. Often it's been 2 pools of 6 teams, and you have the 5 pool play games feeding right into the semis. This year it was the 2 pool play games. If you won your pool, you played a crossover against another 1 seed for seeding purposes. Mixtape lost that game to Dragon Thrust. And it's an interesting dynamic because the seeding purposes, well, Amp was the top seed, but then Mischief goes on and beats them. And here we are with a Mischief Mixtape semifinal after they met in pool play yesterday. Chicken, Kelly, and Fox all got a nice win over their old team, Seattle BFG, this morning. And hey, BFG was pretty impressive.
BFG was pretty impressive. Again, we've talked about the talent pool that Seattle has to pull from, so it's certainly not surprising. Though I have to say, watching part of that...
Oh, that's a dangerous play right there, an unfortunate collision, but thankfully it looks like the Seattle player was able to get his hands down. Yikes. That's the type of play that the rules are trying to legislate out of the sport. Bryson Fox was issued a yellow card. That's a PMF, a personal misconduct foul, presumably for his language after the play. I mean, it looked like he was the one that was undercut.
Okay, Brad, do you want to change player also? Yeah, thank you.
Am I missing something?
We're good.
Yep.
Yeah.
On you.
It must have been something that happened afterwards, although I didn't even see him react.
Simon launching. Kieran Kelly is there. And after 4 turns for each team on that second point, we're even at 1 apiece.
Plays like this that seem to take forever can often lead to misjudged long shots, but not from Chicken, who puts out a dime for Kelly.
Beats Ethan Fallett to that deep space. Mixtape leadership was checking in with Daniel Wong, the observer, as is Ian Toner, who's doing some valiant reporting on the field, bearing the heat. You were down there last game, Megan. Can you put in perspective the dynamic of being on this hot turf under the August sunshine?
The thing that I think is the worst about turf is the heat coming up from the ground. It just feels as though there's absolutely no respite and your legs are baking.
Let's go down to Ian on the sideline.
Yeah, was just able to speak with the observer. There was no language after the play in question. The observer felt that the physical contact going into, through, and over the back of the Mischief player was what merited the personal misconduct foul. Several Mixtape players were gathering around trying to better understand the explanation as well. That's what we were able to get in the 10 seconds as the observer was walking back to the line.
Ian, thank you so much. Mischief back on offense. Lexi Zalk gets involved. Jen Cogburn picks her up. It's a good matchup. And with the stall count rising, she's able to squeeze the pass through for Mia Bladen. Reset to Fallon. Little shimmy. And this is Feng. Kept in bounds by Zoll. Fallon was thinking about a deep shot. Really good downfield defense from Henry Fan to prevent the easy under that they were looking for to Cody Kirkland. Give the Mixtape defense credit. They are making Mischief work, and that leads to a throwaway, but there was a foul on the throw, or so it appears. Emily Kai, one of the Mixtape rookies, on the mark.
From that perspective, I didn't see contact.
But there is no contest from Kai.
You take possession again. Well. It's on you.
Mischief maintains possession. This is Kirkland. Foul it, little high, and Cameron Bailey surveys the area and comes down with a pick. Here's the first break opportunity for the Mixtape D-line. Here's Cogburn. Jen Cogburn has been in the mix for most positive Mixtape developments over the past several years, since she joined the team, really. Deep shot, El Salam rips it away, and he's in the end zone. And just like that, Mixtape has its first lead.
We've talked about a lot of the people who Mixtape lost, but the return of Henry Fan is something that they have good reason to be excited for.
Good throw and go there. El Salam gave it to his former middle school teammate. There's a large and proud contingent of Mercer Middle School alums that have been playing together for about a decade now. And Cam Bailey, the always chatty defender, comes up with the block. This Mixtape team, on one hand, it says they were founded in 2012, and on the other hand, the roster says Cam Bailey's been on the team for 13 years, so you can do the math on that.
Possible Bailey has so much presence on the team that each year counts more than once.
Reed Hendrickson launches the pull. And here comes the Mischief O, Jordan Jeffrey. Dish to Zalk, back to Jeffrey. Pretty good defense, but nice job by Gina Schumacher to shield the defender away with her body. And a better break right there from Schumacher. Jacob Smith. Look for a reset, wasn't there. Floats the lefty backhand further. Devin Drury, low throw. And not hanging enough for the intended target. Z Chen scoops up and initiates possession to Hendrickson. Mixtape is without a handful of their young female players, 3 involved in the youth club division still, Abby Hecko, Hazel Ostrowski, and Sophia Palmer. Also Brian Stout and Deb Shee unavailable this weekend. Ari Lozano suffered a concussion at Pro Elite on the sideline in a coaching leadership capacity. Looking to the front of the end zone, just shy of the goal line, Cogburn. Bouncy mark, but only contains Mixtape for so long. Z Chen initiated the possession, the opposite pylon diagonally across the field, and then hauls in the goal from Cogburn to make it 3-1 Seattle.
What should have been an easy throw to Schumacher falls short, and Mischief stretches the field with that throw to Cogburn. Very nearly to the end zone. And check out this footwork from Z Chen to get open. Just shakes his defender in a short amount of space.
Yep, Z Chen the score. This game reminds me a little bit of a baseball game where, you know, Mischief's O-line, think of them as a pitcher. They go out and throw a 1-2-3, top of the first, boom. That second point with 8 turnovers was like a bases loaded jam where nobody scored, but the inning took 35 minutes. Then the offense, the pitcher retakes the mound, and he's lost a little bit of his rhythm because that half inning took as long, and Mischief has turned it over once, and the Mixtape D-line has capitalized. And I know there's no bigger baseball fan in the world of Ultimate than Megan Tormey, so I know you appreciate that analogy.
So beautifully put, Evan.
Here's Zalk again. Mischief counting on her to play a lot of points. Really with nowhere to go, just throws it up into traffic, and it's easily denied by El Salam. El Salam swings to Fan. Continue for Smith-Wilson. Myers counting the stall on El Salam. So far, just 3 members of Mixtape have touched the disc, and Fan turns it over. Zalk smacks it down. Ben Feng to pick up. Gets a high five from Michael Brisbois. He and Catherine Stonger, both former CLX competitors, the Chad Larson experience from Ames, Iowa.
Far side. Hey, stay close, stay close.
And that is not going to win Mischief the game. High stall blade. And you can just sense that folks are getting tired out there. Robin Myers wanted that throw back as soon as it left his hands. Nice job setting up that cut, Lexi Garrity, with a big chunky yards on the under. Fan up the line, Cogburn. Throw too far in front. So the 4th turnover at this point gives it back to Mischief. That's an example, Megan, I think, of why coaches discourage those same 3rd upline throws. When it works, it looks beautiful, but it's really tough to connect upon.
Oh, without a doubt. It always looks so tempting. It always looks so certain.
And it feels good when you connect.
Well, for sure. But it is incredibly easy to overthrow your target.
Small margin for error, for sure. Feng floats it deep. 4 female players in pursuit. And it is knocked away, but Lexi Zalk has called a foul on Emily Smith-Wilson.
No, I don't. She's saying that she was hit from behind and it prevented her from jumping. Do you agree with that?
No.
You don't have a foul? Neither do I. Would you two like to send it back or go to the observer? Observer ruling, no foul. Play will restart with a check.
What do you think upon seeing the replay?
It looked clean to me.
There was a slight little forearm on Lexi's back as she was in pursuit. And I'm fine with that not being a foul, but she called a foul. Here's El Salam ripping a backhand. Briz boys dropped it.
Let's get it, Blaine! Let's get it! You got this! Let's get another one!
It is evident the toll of the tight games that have been played by these two teams is really feeling felt during this game.
Well, interestingly, the four quarterfinals in the mixed division were all relatively one-sided. 4 quarterfinals, all decided by at least 4 goals. Combined, they were decided by an average of 5 goals. That was this morning.
Yeah, Mixtape played some close games yesterday. They looked pretty comfortable in their game against BFG. Mischief had a very interesting game against AMP. They went up 6-1. AMP battled back. Then Mischief took half 8-7. And then again, in the second half, AMP looked like they were perhaps poised to make a run, but then Mischief took charge and finished out the game strong, but it still had to be mentally exhausting to feel the back and forth.
Heck of a grab there. Mia Bladen hauls in the Lexi Zalk flick. And after 6 combined turnovers, Mischief punches in the hold to get back within 1 at 3-2. Mia Bladen, originally from Seattle, went to the Northeast for college at Harvard. May have heard of that school. Played a season with Slow White. Won a gold medal with the U24 team and scores her first goal in the U.S. Open semifinal here from Lexi Zalk, her former Slow White teammate. Mischief, 1-1 in pool play, the 1 loss. Universe point to Mixtape. Beat Voltaje in a 15-8 relatively lopsided game, and then a couple 15-10 wins over Crazy from Japan and AMP. Curious what we're going to see from Philly AMP this year. They're obviously in the mix, no pun intended. They lost some players, they also picked up some players, and they're still really strong.
That was Mia Bladen in the end up with a score.
Philly AMP, the defending national champion. AMP over Mixtape in the finals last year after AMP had fallen heartbeakingly short the year before.
But I didn't think he was close enough to call a break. Okay, so I thought that was a bad call. Well, there's nothing I can do about it. You're right, but let him know. Four. Four? Now 4.
Bolton to Kelly on the restart. There's some contact there. Not clear whether a call has been made.
I was behind you, and I think you laid out backwards into me, but I don't think.
Do you have a look at that?
I don't think you were.
Do we have enough to say that it's a foul or no foul? Or should we just
I don't really have a concept of what it was.
Yeah, I'm too.
That's fair. Yeah, okay.
You're gonna go this? Okay. Sure thing. And we don't have a really good. We have a lightning delay? Okay.
Let's stop it here.
The ruling is observer ruling. We're gonna send it back. Let's figure out where this is going.
Yeah.
Where was the disc?
And Will Deaver from USA Ultimate letting the observer and the players know that there is lightning in the area, and it is sunny and blue skies overhead, but in the distance off to our right, we do see some ominous-looking clouds, which unfortunately will halt the action for the moment.
To your vehicle out in the parking lot. We're going to clear the field, and we need to clear the stage.
Certainly summertime ultimate tournaments, we see these types of things, Megan. It's something that players have had to deal with before and will have to deal with again. It doesn't look like a very large weather system as I take a glance at it right now. And there's really very little behind it. So we hope, and to put my meteorological cap on, which frankly has no distinction or level of sophistication behind it, I would surmise that this will not be a substantial delay. Care to comment?
We'll hope that you are as good at reading radar as you are at reading the field.
Uh-oh.
And that this will be a quick delay.
Seattle leading Mischief 3-2 in the first of our two semifinals here in this night session at the U.S. Open Ultimate Championships. We will take a timeout. When we have news to report, we will report it in the first mixed semifinal, 3-2 Mixtape. We thank those of you who are sticking with us as we present the U.S. Open Championships from Blaine, Minnesota. We are in a lightning delay in this mixed semifinal. Seattle Mixtape leading San Francisco Mischief 3-2. Here's the latest. We're 15 minutes away from, if there are no lightning delays between now and then, letting the teams retake the field. And if there are no more lightning bolts detected between then and the top of the hour, we could be 20-25 minutes away from resuming this mixed semifinal between these two ultimate powerhouse cities, San Francisco and Seattle. But for now, we step aside in our U.S. Open Ultimate coverage. From Blaine, Minnesota, first half score 3-2 Mixtape in front. Again, we are in a lightning delay. Hope you'll stay with us. More Ultimate to come later tonight. Welcome back, everyone, to the National Sports Center in Blaine, Minnesota, where we are about to resume USA Ultimate's 2019 U.S. Open. Mischief and Mixtape. The sixth point of the game. Here's a brief look at what happened in the first five. Megan, we had a turnover-free start. Kirkland away, 1-0 Mischief. And then four different break chances for Mischief on the next point. Finally, Kieran Kelly hauls in the Adam Simon Huck, and Mixtape gains some momentum from there.
Yeah, ultimately, both teams looking a little bit tired with the mistakes we saw from both sides. Mixtape looking a little bit cleaner in their connections, as evidenced by Cogburn running that disc down at that particular moment. But the lightning delay coming at a good time for both teams to take a breath and rest, because not every point looked as great as that throw from Lexi Zalk.
Hank Carey telling the players to get off the field. That was a little over an hour ago. Did not have any raindrops. The blue sky has basically stayed over the field. And got a nice rainbow off to the right, as a matter of fact. I'm sure our crew will get a picturesque shot of that. As we resume, Mixtape has the disc. This is an offensive point for Seattle. And this is the first mixed semifinal. Winner of this game gets the winner of Boston Snake Country and Minneapolis Dragon Thrust. Throwing into double coverage leads to a turnover. Sean Childers, who we were just talking about up here in the booth during the break. One of Charlie Eisenhood's early co-conspirators in the world of Ultimate Media. Starting the website UltiWorld, Childers with the block. That was the first turnover of this point, and well, there's the second. 16 total turns in the first 5 points of this game. Mixtape up a couple of breaks. And into the end zone for the score goes Kieran Kelly. Lexi Garrity just put it out there, and Kelly, who played for Seattle BFG last year, an important addition for the 2019 Mixtape squad.
Just a bobble from Williams that led to the Mixtape possession. Here Kelly dishes to Lexi and sees the opportunity to strike up the line. You could hear him call Lexi's name, letting her know that he was about to get open on Williams, the front of the end zone.
Well, Megan, it was about 10-12 minutes ago that these two teams retook the field for brief warm-ups before we resumed. And among the things that I heard yelled were, I think, a Mischief player just saying that we just called the longest timeout ever. Cam Bailey, who's always got something insightful to add, insightful in quotes. You know, I love Cam. He said that there's no more lightning, we're gonna bring the thunder.
Sounds about right.
Khalif El-Salam getting set to pull. Khalif, 25 years old now, in his 5th year on the Mixtape roster. And you mentioned the lightning delay coming at a good time. I think everyone wishes it didn't last as long as it did, but be interesting to see if the quality of Ultimate improves after what we were watching earlier. This deep shot, well defended. Intended for Way, similar to the opening throw of the game, but it's Nikki Bruce who got the block. Picking Bruce back up after she was injured at Nationals. Didn't play much in San Diego last October. El-Salam keeps it alive. Good pivot, breaks the mark for Cogburn. Zalk bouncing on the mark, reset for Fan. El-Salam unwinds, looking for Cogburn, but peeling off a couple defenders, body to body, and sneaking in for the sky was Evan Klein. And he's in the end zone, and that is another Mixtape goal. Matt Crawford had left Klein and was going for the disc, and then when he misread it, kind of got tangled up with Zalk a little bit, and Cogburn, Klein just read it best. Not the intended target, but it still counts.
Certainly all eyes were on Cogburn. You saw Crawford reading the disc and her not noticing that Klein had come into the space, caught up, made a play.
So that's the 3rd break of the half for Seattle Mixtape. Klein, the North Carolina native, Virginia Tech alum, makes the grab, and El-Salam with his first assist of the day. And he's one of the many players who are playing in the ICC tournament and coaching in the YCC tournament here at the 2019 US Open. It's always fun to see the different youth jerseys on the sidelines, watching the games in the stands. Those are the club superstars of tomorrow. And in some cases, we'll see them in October at Nationals. Zalk plays another point. Sense the importance of this one for Mischief. Deep shot flung by Fallett, again into traffic, but this one ripped down by Ben Feng. A Mischief score, although there appears to be some confusion. Yeah, there's a signal for the goal, but Patricia Anderson slow to get up.
Oh, you're calling a foul. Okay, that's my mistake. That's my mistake.
Observers signaled goal and apparently hang on.
Okay. What's your call?
When he got the disc, it like.
Okay, all right. All right, you want to roll it? You want to send it back? Okay. Yeah, he got it cleanly first. Foul over.
So the goal does stand. Feng skies for the Mischief score.
Overruled the goal will stand. Ben Feng printed in for the Mischief score at Seattle 5, San Francisco 3.
I don't quite see the contact that Brisbois felt warranted a foul on that.
Yeah, if anything, Brisbois might have been fouled by Anderson, who kind of, no, it's the fine line. Is it a foul or is it just clean boxing out in typical Ultimate? Hey, Ian. Ben Feng with Ian Toner in the foreground. Our valiant sideline reporter. Ian, can you hear us? How's the temperature down in the field? Did the lightning delay cool things off a bit?
It's significantly cooler. It feels like a nice, calm, cool summer evening down here. Nothing like the heat advisory inducing warmth that we had earlier this afternoon.
No more level 1 wet ball globe thermometer induced delays tonight. Tomorrow we'll see. Could be a different story. We're on the air bright and early tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern time for the women's final. 8:30 local time here at the National Sports Center. And then the men's final, Sockeye and Pony, noon Eastern on ESPN2. Heck of a throw right there from Kieran Kelly. Wasn't all that tall, but it was tall enough to get over the traffic and find another Mixtape rookie, Zach Sabin, to make it 6-3.
That's Seattle 6, San Francisco 3.
Yeah, he found a nice lane there. Like you said, not a particularly high throw, but he noticed there was a clear enough path for the disc to sail over any possible deflection to Sabin.
They've been excited to add Zach Sabin into the fold. Originally from Lexington, Washington, spent some time in the Bay Area. Now back up in Seattle. One of the 8 Mixtape rookies that Seattle has introduced onto the roster this weekend. Of course, this is not the first tournament of the season for either of these teams. Mixtape went 5-0 at the Northwest Mixer in mid-June, and then Colorado Cup taking care of business. 6-0 record. Closest game was 13-11 over Love Tractor. Everything else was a win by 3 or more. Against Polar Bears, Jug Handle, Columbus Cocktails, Shame, and Love Tractor. So Mixtape arrived here at the U.S. Open, a perfect 11-0 on the season, except for their first loss of the year in the 1v1 crossover versus Dragon Thrust. They're sitting here at 14-1 on the year. I think answering questions about whether they could remain a contender, losing Mark Burton and Brad Hauser and a couple key pieces from the past. They're going to be in the mix.
Ready when you are.
No pun intended.
Yeah, they've brought on a number of very talented players to help fill the gaps that Bert Abbott, Brad Hauser, Mark Burton left. And as we've talked about before, programs from this area, from Seattle, from the Bay Area, can withstand turnover and still produce really impactful teams in the following year.
Feng took off deep. Bailey chasing him. That disc off the fingertips of Kirkland and ripped away. And a deep shot looking for El Salam, and Khalif turned on the Jets impressively, but still didn't have a chance to get there.
That was still fun to watch.
Evan Klein, a little overly ambitious.
Just needed the holster for a moment more before unleashing.
Yeah, one more pivot perhaps.
Kirkland will bring the disc back upfield where it went out of bounds.
That disc out of bounds near midfield. That's where Kirkland will initiate play for San Francisco Mischief. And he turns it over immediately, intercepted by Klein. Bailey shoots it deep. Klein accelerating. He's got it with a clean clap catch and a little performance for our end zone Cam. Bailey to Klein makes it 7-3.
If you're gonna turn it over, it feels really nice to get it back that quickly on D.
Here's the angle I'm looking forward to. Coming right into your living room, whether you want him or not. Evan Klein. You can't accuse this mixtape team of not having fun.
That is something that has carried over through the years, despite the turnover. It's just the goofiness
Most of the time.
that you anticipate from Mixtape.
Asked some of the mixtape veterans about their new players, and they said all the new players are idiots, just like the old players. They fit in well. Idiot is a term of affection.
I was just about to say, it is endearing to hear them say that about their teammates.
So that's the fourth mixtape break of the half. And the Seattle offense, despite turning it over 4 times on the very second point of the game, their first offensive point, have been unbroken. Presumably still to come tonight. Have not heard any word about USA Ultimate starting the Snake Country Dragon Thrust game earlier. So we're still planning on bringing that one to you after this one concludes. Jacob Smith looking around, and there's a stoppage. You can always hear Cam Bailey on the sideline chirping away.
That's the kind of teammate you want. Invested, whether on the field or off the field.
Mischief gets one back. Not a break, but a hold. Makes it 7-4. Jenny Wong, the 23-year-old out of Chicago. Bladen picks up the assist.
It's like Wong's defender tripped as she was chasing Wong, leaving her completely unmarked unguarded as she sprinted to the end zone.
The 4th turnover-free point of the match thus far.
7, San Francisco 4.
This Mischief team, head coach Andrew Berry telling us before the game, this tournament was largely about finding themselves and trying to make gradual improvements from game to game. So they're a different team today than they were yesterday. You know, new leadership this year with Kevin Smith still keeping a roster spot, a guy who can certainly sling it downfield whenever he gets the disc in his hands, but they're trying to be a little bit more cautious, conservative, insert some new and refreshing voices into the conversation. Cavallero bluffs a couple deep shots, connects underneath with Bryson Fox. Near the sideline, Bolton, what a catch. Cam Smith prancing around in the background there, celebrating his teammates' work. Deep shot from Bolton. This is gonna float all the way to the end zone, and it's denied. Audrey Way comes up with a block. Watch the catch from Bolton and watch Bailey's reaction in the background.
To his credit, it was a great grab from Bolton, who recognized that he was nearing the sideline and kept his weight on the foot that would touch down inbounds first.
You could nickname him Caffeinated Cam Bailey, except I'm not sure he is a fan of caffeine. He just acts like he is. Myers to Gatto. Near the sideline, that was close. Very nearly on the line, but Stepanidis inbounds. Mischief flirting with that sideline. Finally creates some space. Prater denied the look initially, but then over the top. Myers, end zone, contested and denied. Heck of a D by Bryson Fox.
The disc trailing just a little more center, and Bryson maintaining his position so that when he went up, he was able to D over Jacob Smith.
Deep shot for Mixtape, trying to take it to half. Majestic throw, hauled in easily. And it's an 8-4 Seattle advantage. Zach Sabin with his second score. And after a shaky start, strong finish to this first half from Seattle Mixtape.
And what a throw to punctuate Mixtape's performance since returning from the lightning delay. Just a little more dialed in, a little more connected. Their play requiring a lot less energy than it did when they first took the field tonight.
And Megan, before the lightning delay, Mixtape had turned the disc over 9 times. Score was 3-2. Since then, Mixtape has only turned it over 4 times and has expanded the lead. 8-4 Seattle in front as we send it down to the sidelines with Ian Toner.
Thanks very much, Evan. Coach Berry, Coach Chen, what's the diagnosis at halftime? How do you find consistency for your team?
I think that we're having a little bit of trouble in the reset space right now. I think Mixtape is doing a really good job challenging our resets. And so getting consistency involves moving the disc laterally, and that's going to be our main focus going into the second half.
What did the lightning delay feel like? Was it tough to get back into the right space mentally?
I thought we did a really good job just dealing with whatever was thrown our way. We had a lot of fun during the lightning delay inside, just playing some disc golf, dancing around. We felt good coming out of it.
What's the number one thing you want your team to focus on for the second half?
Mental toughness.
Keeping up that intensity while being patient throughout.
Thank you both very much for your time. I know you got a halftime huddle to get to.
Thank you so much.
Evan, back up to you.
Yeah, thanks so much. I wish we were watching Han Chin on the field. She had a meniscus cadaver surgery in April, so we're probably not going to see her again this season, but she's already looking forward to next year, and we're looking forward to seeing her Hucks back on the field as well. Mischief trails Mixtape 8-4. Finally, we've gotten a halftime in the mixed semifinal. A good look at that 175-gram Discraft Ultra Star and some of the turf field pellets that accumulate over the course of the day. First half highlights, Megan Tormey. It was 1-0 Mischief off the top, but then 3 straight points for Mixtape. And they kind of seized control of this first half. How'd they do it?
Well, after the lightning delay, they came out with some really clean offense and some really fantastic field spacing. You saw them take long shots when they presented themselves, and then they spaced themselves well when they were close to the end zone. Just playing smart, fundamentally sound ultimate is what led to Mixtape, looking more dominant, looking more comfortable and confident in this game.
Well, they've been on the stage so many times, and I should correct myself. They only had 3 turnovers since the lightning delay after turning it over just 7 times before it. Only 10 first half turnovers for Seattle Mixtape. Wide angle lens, the weather coming in this direction. Saw some lightning bolts, but no raindrops, and after about an hour delay, we resumed, and Mixtape was ready to air it out.
Yeah, air it out as we see El Salam throwing one of the longer throws that, like I said, helped spacing for the Mixtape offense. That particular throw heavily contested, but there's one Mischief was able to pull out of the pileup.
And Mischief has not had that many easy looks. When they trail 8-4, they've been broken 4 times. Mixtape will receive to start the second half with a 4-goal lead. Evan Klein, one of his 2 scores in that first half right there. And then to take it to half, Cavallero to Sabin. Majestic. Mixtape, plenty of new faces, but similar story. Playing well on a grand stage at the U.S. Open. Date 4, Seattle leads San Francisco at the half. We'll chat with the Mixtape leadership next.
First mixed semifinal at the U.S. Open Championships. I'm here with Henry Fan of Seattle Mixtape. Your team is up 8-4 here, coming out of halftime. What do you credit this big lead to?
Gloria. That was a song we were listening to when we were in the lightning delay. And more importantly, I think that we did a good job sustaining energy and knowing that this reputation that we have the best team in the nation, and that's just a mindset that we have, and we want to come on and prove it today, even though there was a delay. A lot of adversity coming our way, but it doesn't matter. We want to rise to the occasion and have a good time.
You had the lightning delay. Now you had this halftime break. What's the focal point for the second half?
I think right now we're going to really work hard on just establishing what we've done already. We've talked a lot early on in the season about how we want to set our goals in the way that we define success. So no matter what the score is, as long as we're working on things we want to work on, we're going to get buckets and we're going to be great.
Henry, thank you so much for your time. Halftime here in Blaine, Minnesota. 8-4, Seattle Mixtape on top. More action after the break.
Mischief has an uphill battle as we get ready to start the second half, and Mixtape has spread out the scoring. Kelly, Sabin, and Klein certainly very involved, and interesting to notice that all 8 Mixtape goals scored by male players, whereas Mischief had 3 of its 4 goals scored by female players. 8 different Mixtape players with an assist, and Mixtape on offense to start the second half. Feels like it's been a while since Mixtape has played offense. Adam Simon back out there, pressured by Devin Ray Williams. Over to Dom Cavallero, who finds Kieran Kelly. That disc bobbled and dropped by Garrity. So an early opening here. San Francisco has not broken Seattle yet in the game, but they pick up the disc about 30 yards from the goal line. One throw into the red zone. Crawford, hammer. Williams is there. Mischief's first break of the day makes it 8-5. Exactly what San Francisco wanted to start the half.
Yeah, just a little bobble from Garrity as she got low to try and dig out the low throw. And then Mischief turns around, sets their offense up really nicely. You saw the entire stack pulled down the field. They weren't trying to pressure anything. And then Crawford just looking to the far corner of the end zone. If you have a hammer, that's a nice place to put it, especially if Williams had space and steps on his player, and he did.
Not much breeze at the 2019 U.S. Open thus far. It picked up a little bit during the lightning delay. You could feel the weather kind of wishing through. But for the most part, the hammer lanes have been open. So Crawford drops it in for Williams, makes it 8-5, and see if Mixtape handles this pressure for the first time.
In their game against AMP this morning, as we mentioned earlier, Mischief had a big lead. AMP came back, and in the second half, Mischief ran away with the game. And it was during that halftime that Coach Andrew Barry talked to his team about mental resiliency. Clearly, he had the same conversation with Mischief in this halftime. You have to be able to forget the mistakes of the past, get in there and play to the best of your abilities. We'll see if his halftime conversation has the same impact as it did in this morning's game against AMP.
Pretty good pull that just sailed wide of the sideline late. So Bolton will trot it up to the brick mark. Catherine Songer and Dominic Cavallero playing behind the disc. Downfield, Kieran Kelly looked off. Bolton gets the reset. Bryson Fox out there along with Emily Smith-Wilson and Lexi Garrity. And the deep shot going up for Garrity, being chased by Way, and Audrey Way elevates for the block on the goal line. All those deep shots were working out for Mixtape in the first half, but a dropped undercut and errant deep throw to begin the second half. We'll see if this Mischief team that had been 0 for 6 on break chances, now 1 for 7, can convert another. Max DeVisser scoobers over the top. Scott Gatto. And just an errant throw looking for Anderson.
Just back to Mixtape. John Cavallero over pickup.
Cavallero on the sideline. Deep shot flies again. This time testing Anderson, and she's up to the task. A couple deep throws toward Mixtape females, picked off by Mischief. First Way, and now Anderson. Some big-time defense. Try to get the San Francisco squad back in this game. Megan, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the crowd that has stuck around through the lightning delay and the half, and there's a good group of fans, certainly some Dragon Thrust fans waiting for their local team to take the field. Here's Childers. Takes the swing. Anderson dishes Myers. Schumacher looking for the dump, gets the reset. And then she breaks to the end zone, runs away from Garrity. And Scott Gatto just overthrows her when she was wide open.
An unfortunate put for what could have been an amazing opportunity for Mischief to narrow this gap even farther.
Jesse Bolton takes a timeout as Cam Bailey comes charging onto the field, celebrating the timeout call. Big stands here where the Minnesota United FC play, the National Sports Center in Blaine. Mixtape already winners of the Pro Elite Challenge, the Colorado Cup. That same weekend, Montana Moondog, and credit to our graphics crew for getting the Montana Moondog logo on ESPN. Columbus Cocktails won their hometown select flight invite east. Elite Select a couple weeks away in Rockford, and then the Pro Championships just outside of Philadelphia. Labor Day Monday, we'll have full finals, full coverage of the 3 finals from Pro Championships. And then, of course, we'll be in San Diego for the 2nd year in a row. Megan, you and I were out in San Diego a couple weeks ago when the rest of the country was getting doused by the heat wave. It was 73 degrees and sunny and paradise.
It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Not a bad place to find yourself when the rest of the country is in a heat wave, I must say.
Looking forward to October, the culmination of another club season. The Triple Crown Tour just getting underway. 3 legs of the Triple Crown, the US Open, the Pro Championships, and Nationals. Mixtape. Triple Crown winners a few years back and turning it over quickly off to the timeout. And that is another red zone turnover out of the hands of Scott Gatto. 5th and 6th turnovers of the point in that last sequence.
Missed opportunity from Mischief, who had put on some blistering handler defense to generate that opportunity.
Bolton with a big windup there, and you saw Myers kind of lay out on the mark. Smart decision there by Garrity, making the defender pay for the poach, just hitting the open player, using the width of the field. Cavallero again. Breaks the mark. Defender flying by to Visser. And Kelly takes the reset. Cavallero looking cross field. DeVisser in pursuit of Kelly, but that's a gorgeous throw from Dominic Cavallero to finish the point. A Seattle hold after each team turned it 3 times. And you think about that, Megan, Mischief, multiple great chances to get within 2. Instead, it's back to a 4-goal game.
And if I am leadership right now, I am telling the rest of my team on Mixtape, cut for Dominic Cavallero. That is the 2nd beauty of a throw that he has put up tonight. Would love to see more of that from him.
3rd goal for Kelly. And Cavallero continues to be a strong quarterback for this O-line. Bunch of members of the Seattle Ultimate community had some flight trouble getting here on Friday morning. I think they were coming in on late night flight Thursday night that got canceled, and they got put on another flight, and that was delayed, and a slew of the Seattle contingent didn't arrive until around 5 a.m. that morning. Travel troubles, just part of the job. It's interesting to note that through 14 points, 4 points have been turnover free. 3 of those 4 turnover free points have come from Mischief. Lefty backhand with a stall count high works out. Not how Andrew Barry drew it up, but it works to maintain possession. Zalk was taken off, but someone else was too. And on the deflection, it's kept alive by Fallett. And a Mischief score, turnover free, despite Seattle Mixtape getting a paw on the disc.
Fan certainly gave it his all. Reading this disc, going up early to try and take it away. But Fallett kept his feet underneath him, kept his eyes on the disc. That enabled him to make this second effort.
Want to make sure he stayed in bounds, which he did easily. Look out, camera guy. Goal and assist for Fallett. San Jose State product. Couple assists for Crawford. In fact, the last 2 Mischief goals dished by Matt Crawford. We are about 11.5 minutes away from soft cap. This game, again, if you just joined us, the first of the 2 mixed semifinals. This game halted for about an hour because of lightning in the area. So our schedule has been pushed back a good bit. Going for the big chunk of yardage and beating Jordan Jeffrey to the spot was Zach Sabin. Again, squeezing it through to Simon. As much fun as they like to have as they drop the disc in the end zone, tight space, I was getting ready to say that this mixed team plays with discipline from a spacing standpoint. Not necessarily from a decision-making standpoint, but they're good about creating space for each other downfield.
That's an excellent point. They do position themselves to have as many opportunities as possible. And when things start to get tight, you don't tend to see Mixtape crowd the disc.
Schumacher, some big fakes to Williams. Inside break. And again, Schumacher. Another chance for Mischief to get within 2 in the red zone. Jeffrey, little flip. And there's no call, and that's the San Francisco score. Mischief within 2. After the Mixtape giveaway at one end, Mischief finally converts at the other. Jordan Jeffrey doing a nice job to keep play alive. Jeffrey to Smith, not to be confused with slow white star Jeff Smith. (9-7). Mischief hanging around here.
They are. That's that mental resiliency Coach Barry talked about in the last game, talked about in this game. As the stage gets grander, you have to understand that sometimes you're going to get punched in the chin when you come out to play against a team as strong as Mixtape. You have to be able to battle back. You will not always be in control of the game. The way you handle that is by coming out and managing mistakes as best as you can and seizing opportunities when they present themselves. We've certainly seen Mischief give up a number of opportunities tonight, but they have still worked to maintain their offensive system to keep themselves in this game.
Robin Myers with a good pull, assuming it stays in bounds, which it does not. So I rescind my praise of the pull.
Almost praiseworthy pull.
It's a fine line between a great pull and an out-of-bounds pull. It's actually but a 6-inch line, painted in yellow on the field. And Mixtape already 3/4 of the way down the field. Here's Kelly. Oh, that was a cheeky throw, just shy of the end zone for Cavallero. Takes the reset. Songer, stall count rising. It's a good swing. Another nice throw from Songer with a break. Cavallero looking, end zone, Songer's got it. No one was really talking about the impact Catherine Songer was going to have, impacting Mixtape in her first season, but she has been very solid on this Mixtape O-line tonight. Catches this goal from Cavallero after a couple key swings to keep possession alive and create fresh stalls in the red zone. And that right there was just the second turnover-free Mixtape O-point of the game.
And that put from Cavallero is the same kind of throw that Mischief has been struggling with. Someone cutting away into the end zone. They've just been overthrowing their players, but Cavallero connects with Songer for Mixtape.
Some of the Mixtape leadership did say Catherine Songer, when we asked about her, she's the #1 grinder, #1 new grinder. Originally from Overland Park, Kansas, was in Iowa for a time. Mentioned earlier, she played with the Chad Larson experience in the mixed division in the past. Evan Klein launches the pull this time. We do have a nice sunset brewing, and it appears the storm clouds have gone another way, at least from the perspective that we're seeing. First two games on E3 today, a Universe Point win for Medellin Revolution, coming back from 4 goals down to beat Seattle Riot. That was a fastball, ringed off the chest of Ben Fang, intercepted by Klein, who immediately launches, and that's a layout grab. Michael Brisbois hauls it in for Mixtape. Seattle breaks again.
Klein released that so quickly. I thought perhaps he had miscalculated the field and the speed at which Brisbois was running. But no.
kind of similar to Evan Klein's D when he did the quick dish to Bailey and took off. That was Briz right there. The D, quick dish, take off, bookends. Just under 4 minutes away from soft cap. Mischief had clawed their way back within 2, but now Seattle back up by 4. One thing's for sure, Megan, it is going to be a quick turnaround for you and me and the rest of our crew tomorrow morning. 8:30 a.m. start to our triple header of championship coverage. One thing to know, if you're coming to the fields in Minnesota early in the morning, even if it didn't rain, fields are still going to be covered in dew. The fields were very moist this morning, despite no precipitation. My socks are still a little damp 12 hours later.
Well, thankfully, you'll be at the stadium all day tomorrow.
But it's my mistake. I own it. You bring multiple socks when you go to a Frisbee tournament. A rookie knows that.
Whether playing or broadcasting,
It's true.
keep that tip in mind.
And I've got the extra socks at the hotel. I just didn't think I needed it. Dumb mistake by me. Mischief punches it in. Clean offensive possession there, culminating with Jacob Smith near the front pylon.
Nice little give-go between Zalk and Smith. Watch this again. He releases to Zalk, putting her just a little bit wide of center, and then immediately cuts down the line, giving her a clear angle and a clear target for the score.
It's interesting to watch good players the moment that they know they've been beat on that point. Like we saw from El Salam right there. You can kind of see it in his facial expression. Where he's just kind of exasperated, like, what did I do wrong? I can't believe I let that happen. This is not going to happen again. Going against other good players, it happens. Not that you've ever had that look on your face.
Never. That's funny, Evan.
By the way, I hear we might see you on a Club Ultimate field this year in the mixed division.
It's already happened. It's already happened.
Congratulations.
Thank
You're
you.
on the Public Enemy roster. How's the squad looking? Low throw. What a catch made there. Kieran Kelly with another superhero grab to keep it alive. Adam Simon bluffs a deep cut underneath and now launches deep. Kelly already one great catch on this point. And denied by Childers on that shot in the end zone. So Dallas Public Enemy.
Yeah, I have to say, this is my first season playing mixed. It's a humbling experience to be the new kid on a team after I'd had veteran status on Nemesis for I don't know how many decades.
At least 3.
At least 3 decades. So it's a lot of learning, new systems, new players, but great group of people, a lot of fun and very, very welcoming.
Jacob Smith lets the deep shot fly. Devin Ray Williams unable to haul it in. Takes responsibility. Little raise of the hand. Mixtape disc.
This has really kind of been characteristic of the kinds of opportunities Mischief has just let slip by. Williams looks like he is clearly going to catch that. Childers is in good position to sprint into the end zone and then make a quick cut for the score, but no.
Kelly's deep shot hauled in right near the front line of the end zone by Emily Smith-Wilson. Soft caps going on after this point, and it'll be a game to 14 as Mixtape registers the hold to make it 12-8.
Kelly finding Smith-Wilson, who looks down and sees a number of Mischief defenders. Garrity does a quick little juke, sprinting into the end zone, then turns around to shake her defender.
I mentioned no female goal scorers in the first half for Mixtape, but now Garrity and Songer have caught goals in the second half. Look at Kevin Smith, longtime leader of Mischief. Smile on his face, walking alongside Smith-Wilson there for a moment. Smith-Wilson, her second year on Mixtape from Bozeman, Montana. Montana has had some moments in Ultimate history, especially in the mixed division. Go back to 2008, Megan. The mental toss Fly Coons from Missoula won nationals that year. Mischief lost to mental toss Fly Coons in the semifinals. Mental toss Fly Coons beat Shazam Returns, who had won the title the previous year. You know, dynasties in the mixed division just weren't all that common, haven't been all that common, which is what makes what Dragon Thrust has done, and really what Mixtape has done too, kind of stand out in the historical context. Look, the mixed division first held its club nationals in 1997. That was an unofficial UPA co-ed celebration. The first official mixed club nationals were 98. San Francisco Bay Area team called Redfish Bluefish beat a Colorado Springs team, Pira Haku. Some great names in the Ultimate record books.
Some not so great ones as well.
That's fair. There's also a Missoula team, Montana, called Trigger Happy that won nationals in the mixed division in 01. Meanwhile, Mischief back within 3. Lexi Zalk still running hard. Lexi Zalk, such a critical piece to Boston Slow White's title in 2016. Over Connecticut Metro North. Mischief, a semifinalist that year as well. And that's, you know, Mischief, they're a dynasty team in a different way. They're a mixed team that was founded in early mid-2000s, and the franchise has kind of ebbed and flowed and brought in new pieces, and Kevin Dollar-Smith has been the constant, and he's still around, some new leadership. It's kind of cool that they're sticking around. And this may be hard to believe, Megan, but in this game, Mischief has actually had more break opportunities than Mixtape, but Mixtape has converted more. Mixtape's 5 for 9, Mischief's 2 for 12. And therein lies the story of the game.
Yeah. It's actually not too hard to believe when you think about some of the throwing mistakes that we have seen from Mischief.
By the way, I assume your Public Enemy teammates are intelligent enough to realize your greatness on and off the field. Do you feel like that's registered yet, or is it still kind of sinking in?
That's awfully sweet of you. Definitely still sinking in.
Here's Cavallero in pursuit, wide open, and a clean cap catch brings Mixtape within 1 of Championship Sunday. Cavallero has thrown a lot of deep shots. Now he's got a bucket of his own.
That's Seattle 13, San Francisco 9.
In terms of connections tonight, Mixtape has just been almost rhythmic with their timing of these long shots. Waiting just the appropriate amount of time. Kelly unleashes. Cavallero, who has already shooken his defender, completely uncontested in the end zone.
It looks a lot like what we've seen for this Mark Burton to Brad Hauser, or Dom Cavallero to Evan Klein, or Kieran Kelly to Dom Cavallero. That's the deep game from Mixtape, getting buckets.
Yeah.
Kelly involved in 5 of the 13 scores, which is basically more than half the time when he's on the field, he's involved in the punctuation of the point. Still got some daylight here, though the lights are in the process of warming up. And the nightcap to our quadruple header will be under the lights. About 20 minutes before 9 p.m. here in Blaine, Minnesota. Pretty good disc movement here. Here's Feng shooting it. Zolk got it, but there's a foul call. Jen Cogburn, I think, said that Zolk may have pushed off to create that separation.
So you came into my position and kicked my leg. No, I
Take a look.
Plants on the ground. Kicked my tripped.
Okay.
I do think my foot was
All right, so it seems like we're not going to come to an agreement. We just got me. So my ruling, that was a foul. It was before the throw.
Foul is upheld by the observer. It was an offensive foul.
Mischief will maintain possession.
Possession will stay with Mischief. It will, however, go back to Ben Funk.
Take one more look. Right side of your screen. Zolk and was that a foul? From that angle, it didn't look like much.
Yeah, from that angle, it just looked like she just tripped.
Pretty good dump defense there, but better offense. Fang to the end zone to bring Mischief within 3. And now let's see what San Francisco can do with their backs against the walls. We saw earlier today, Revolution was down 12-10, got 3 breaks in a row to win. I should say they got 2 breaks to win, including 1 hold. And you wonder where Mischief would be if they hadn't had all the red zone errors earlier in the game. They turned it over 5 times in the red zone. They're 5 for 10 in red zone opportunities. in this contest.
There are absolutely a number of mistakes that Mischief can review and talk about. This could have been the game changer. This could have been the game changer. But the game is not over yet, and perhaps they have found their second wind. We shall see.
Take a look at the Seattle line. Emily Kai, Emily Smith-Wilson, the veteran Adam Simon, with Kai Fong. Haven't seen a ton of Kai in this game. Lexi Garrity has been out there a bunch, as has Catherine Songer. Zach Sabin was number 7 on the line. He could be the deep target here, without a doubt. Instead, Simon hits him under after he bluffed deep. Smith-Wilson takes the reset. Sunday in the finals at the US Open. Frankly, a familiar spot for Mixtape, as saw Simon get tangled with his defender, parallel with the disc. Myers and Simon both all right. Wonder if Adam Simon chose to have the chicken on the back of his jersey, or that decision was made for him. Sabin. Quick reset to Simon. Seattle Mixtape with a win over Seattle BFG this morning in quarters. Now trying to dispatch San Francisco and earn the right to face either Boston or Minneapolis tomorrow. And that will end it. Tough grab to close it out, made by Emily Smith-Wilson. And Mixtape moves on to another US Open final, 14-10 over San Francisco Mischief.
That's a final here, this mixed division semi. Seattle Mixtape 14, San Francisco Mischief 10.
A great grab with Zalk in pursuit.
Mixtape have now punched their ticket to the finals tomorrow.
Sabin didn't make it easy on
Games tonight to figure out who they're going to play. Coming up in about 30 minutes, we're going to get our second semifinal of the evening in.
A good spirited game. And I certainly agree with Andrew Barry when he said this team has great potential and can really become something down the stretch of the season. They got a great win over AMP this morning in the quarterfinals. But in the semifinal round, Mixtape was the better team, playing big ball, playing small ball. They're moving on to the final. The USA Ultimate US Open Club Championships are presented by Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com. By the Ultimate History Book, illuminating the legendary stories, moments, and photos from the sport of Ultimate over the past 50 years. Learn more at ultimatehistorybook.com. And by Discraft, home of the Ultra Star, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Now featuring an updated website to make ordering custom discs easier than ever. Visit discraft.com for all your custom disc needs. Seattle Mixtape, a familiar story on their way to the finals at the US Open, a 14-10 win over San Francisco Mischief. Bunch of key players involved in the Mixtape victory today. One of them, Evan Klein, standing by with Ian Toner. Ian?
Thanks, Evan. Evan, another finals clinching victory for Mixtape. What was your favorite moment from this game?
Kat Songer taking control of the offense. We had 6 women yesterday, 7 today, and they have been grinding through some heat, and she's probably played every offensive point we've had this weekend, and that's impressive, and she played phenomenal, taking over a matchup, yeah.
So much poise in the red zone. You've been a part of this Mixtape squad for several years. You've seen so much change, so much turnover. What's still the same, and how is Mixtape still able to be so successful at the top levels of the game?
Everything is the same. No matter how many players we change or systems, we're just gritty. And it's street ball. Sometimes it's going to look nice. Most of the time it's not. But we'll get a bucket.
What do you need to do to be successful in the final tomorrow?
We're gonna go home, have some team ice baths, maybe chug a root beer float or two, and get right back out there. Bring the hype tomorrow. It's gonna be huge.
Don't let me stand between you and a root beer float.
Let me give a shout out to Gloria, though.
Thanks, Evan. Evan, back up to you.
Gloria was the halftime or the intermission song of choice during the lightning delay. That helped Mixtape bring the energy as we see Boston Snake Country getting loose. They'll make their ESPN 3 debut in a little bit. But first time for our Discraft play of the game. Get to that in just a moment. Mixtape 14-10. They get the winner of Snake Country and Dragon Thrust. Still waiting for a great thriller in this mixed division bracket. Nothing in the quarters. Mixtape comfortably ahead. Maybe we're going to get one from Snake Country and Dragon in just a little bit. This play right here, our Discraft play of the game, brought to you by Discraft, home of the 175-gram Ultra Star. Michael Brisbois lays out.
The speed with which Mixtape was able to turn around plays really highlighted well in this particular moment. Brisbois dishes quickly to Klein, who immediately sends it to him deep. Brisbois is ready for the toss, makes the layout for the score.
Impressive performance from Mixtape. They have been very steady throughout the tournament. Sun setting here in Minnesota, but we got one game left. 9:15 local time, 10:15 on the East Coast for Snake Country and Dragon Thrust. This one was a bit of a marathon with a lightning delay interspersed. The Mixtape was slightly better before the delay and significantly better afterwards. Mischief hung around some clean offensive points, but not strong enough in terms of converting those breaks. Mixtape moves on to the final to face either Dragon or Snake Country tomorrow. For Ian and Megan, Evan saying so long for now. We're back in 20 minutes with the final semi of the night here from the U.S. Open.